That's time for the press review on the programme. And of course, that attempted military coup in Niger is dominating really the international press today. And our press reviewer, Dipti, has been looking through all the different stories for us. Dipti.
Yeah, that attempted coup against President Mohamed Bazoum, who was, of course, democratically elected in 2021, getting a lot of press attention in the press. This is from Wakatsera, a Burkina paper, which says after Mali, Guinea and Burkina Faso, Niger makes it 4 for 4 in West Africa. It says in a rather sarcastic headline, 4 countries in West Africa who have been the theater, been the sites of attempted coups or coups. The American website, The Intercept, has a very interesting article about reminding us that this also comes at a particularly fragile time for regional security. Niger and its neighbors, it says, have been plagued by armed groups terrorizing villages, particularly in the borderlands between those three countries, between Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. It also reminds us of the U.S.'s strong investment in Niger, which sees it as Washington seeing it as a key ally in the region. And in fact, since 2012, U.S. taxpayers have spent nearly $500 million in Niger, making it one of the largest security assistance programs in sub-Saharan Africa. Stuart.
Yeah, that instability in the region, it comes as well, as we were talking about earlier with Charles Pellegrin, as Russia is hosting a summit of African leaders seeking allies against the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, and as the Financial Times notes on its front page here today, that summit's expected to get a pretty poor turnout. Just about 17 heads of states are expected compared to 45 heads of state at the same summit 4 years ago. But what is also really interesting is there's an article in Le Soir, the Belgian paper today, which talks about how it's looking notably at Russia's ties to Africa through the Wagner group, the paramilitary group, and its strong presence. The Belgian paper reporting that the Wagner group appears to be withdrawing from Central African Republic, which is the first country it landed in when it started, when it began its sort of influence campaign in Africa 5 years ago. Wagner Group's reportedly heading back to Belarus, where officially their head, Yevgeny Prigozhin, is currently based. The Wagner Group has, of course, been accused of committing atrocities across Africa. There's a very interesting article on that topic in Foreign Policy, well worth a read today. It looks at the sort of diplomatic quandary that is facing U.S. lawmakers concerning the Wagner Group. The government is mulling a decision to label the group a foreign terrorist organization, much like the Islamic State group. But the State Department is pushing back because the fears are that going after Wagner too hard could indeed jeopardize the U.S.'s relationship with African countries who are considering or who have ties with that paramilitary Russian group.
Now, today marks the 70th anniversary since the armistice ended fighting in the Korean War. That was signed 70 years ago.
Yeah, so 70 years ago. It's getting a lot of attention in the press today, Stuart. 70 years ago, that armistice ending fighting in the Korean War was signed. A fragile truce that continues today with the Korean Peninsula, of course, still divided, and the two Koreas technically still at war. There's a very nice article in the New York Times today that takes us back in time with these photos taken during the war, which devastated, of course, both the North and South. More than 1 million North Koreans were believed to have been killed in the U.S.'s carpet bombing of key infrastructure. And you see some of those pictures here. This is waving the flag at troops, and there's this picture here where North Koreans are inspecting the damage after such a U.S. carpet bombing mission. The Korea Herald focuses, meanwhile, on the prisoners of war with this profile of this man, Yoo Young-bok. He's now 93 years old, but he was captured at the age of 23 by China's People Liberation Army. That was just a month before that armistice was signed. He became a prisoner of war. He was subjected to forced hard labor for nearly 4 decades. He finally escaped from North Korea in 2000. And when he was in South Korea, he discovered a general lack of awareness about POWs and their plight, many of whom, the paper says, are still unaccounted for. Now, from the North Korean perspective, the Times today reports that the Russian Defense Ministry, Sergei Shoigu, is attending celebrations being held in North Korea. He also visited a defense exhibition of banned ballistic missiles with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is the focus of this exhibition. Several paintings of the North Korean leader are all in all his glory. Here he is. Horseback, sort of taking a page out of fellow autocrat Vladimir Putin's playbook.
Yeah, he needs to be naked from the waist up. Now, finally, from Dipti, I don't know about you, I've had Nothing Compares to You going round and round in my head since I went to bed last night. Written by Prince, wasn't it? But Sinead O'Connor passing away, Dipti, at the age of 56.
That's right. Her very famous cover of that Prince song made her an international star. She's on the front of the Irish Daily Mail today in a special edition, multiple page special edition. They call her vulnerable, powerful and pure, a mesmerizing talent who bared her heart and took on the world. They also call her a wounded soul, someone who was very complicated. And you'll see in its edition today, there's a double page that I quite liked. They're calling Sinead O'Connor a rebel without a cause, a raw talent. There you see the many, many faces of Sinead O'Connor. Stuart.
Yeah, nice to see all those images and good to pay tribute to her. Thanks very much, Dipti, with the papers here on France 24. More news very shortly, so do stay with us if you can.